Now the very first thing you notice when you get one of these radios is the build quality. Now these are a good high quality plastic and rubber. You can feel that on the back of the radio and all the buttons, which is very nice. It's got nice weight to it as well. Another good point on the back of the radio is the belt clip. It's very sturdy. It's so strong that it doesn't wiggle at all. Compared to other leading models, you've got the Cobra MT975. It's a little bit loose. And to look at the Binatone Action 1000, again the belt clip isn't as strong as the Motorola TLKR T80, and just feel that. It's very solid. Another feature I have commented on in my other videos is about the LED torch. Now just look at that, it's nice to have it. I know a lot of people say, well, I don't need the torch on the walkie-talkie, but it is a nice feature to have, and the extra money you pay over the other models, and I think that's definitely one of the points. I'd rate this Motorola higher than the other ones. And when you turn the radio on, you can see the large number display on the screen. So it's on channel 7, previously code 8. So this is much better than the smaller numbers on the Motorola T8, that's the older model. So this is a big improvement in terms of the display. And just on the subject of display, you can see the Binatone Action 1000 displays the frequency, the actual frequency of the channel, which to a lot of people is unnecessary, because you only need to know the channel number you're on, which is very tiny in the top left corner, and the privacy tone, which is in the top right. So in this case the Motorola is doing much better with bigger channel numbers. There's one feature that other radios, including the TLKR, the lower range like the T40, 50 and 60 don't have, that the 80 does, is the group call function. Now if I just show you what I've set up on these two radios. On the first one I've called it radio number 1. I'll give it a name called Adam, because you can only put 4 digits or 4 letters in there. And the second radio, I hope you can see this. Okay, I've called it Jess. So Adam and Jess are my two radios. Now the only reason for that is I can put a 4-letter word or name onto the radios, and I will be talking about the group call function on a different video, and that is a really nice feature if you want to use let's say around 4 or 6 of these radios in a setup. I like radios with the on and off and volume dial rather than buttons. Now sometimes you can, like on the T60, you can press and hold a button to turn the radio on and off. Same with on some other walkie-talkies, but it's just a lot easier with a dial and the volume control just on top of the radio. To change channels on the T80 is much easier than on the T8 and some of the older models. Now instead of messing around with pressing the menu and then change what do you want to change, now the code or the channel, this is much easier because you only need to press one button. So that's the selection and lock button, the bottom right. So click that once, you can see the big number flashing, that's for your channel. Go up or down to cycle through your 8 channels, and press the same selection button again. It gives you the options to choose the privacy tones, and that is very easy. Once you've done, press the Ptt button and that's confirmed. So this is a more streamlined process in changing the channels, so much better than the previous Motorola models. Another improvement on the T80 is how easy it is to enter channel scan mode. So what you do is you press the menu button and press select. That's it, 2 buttons, and they're very easy to do. So without going through the cycle or cycle through the menu options, there you go. It's also worth mentioning that to monitor a channel, you only need to open the squelch. You only need to press one button now instead of going through the menu again. So press the monitor button here on the bottom left. Because they are splash proof to IPX2, it gives you confidence to use this outdoors. So it could be a shower, a little bit drizzle, or just got water splash on it, as long as you dry it straight away, it shouldn't cause any damage to the radios. So it is something that other radios, other cheaper radios, don't have. The best thing about these pair of radios, or the TLKR T80, is the range. I have done some tests using the TLKR T80, I've used the Cobra MT975, and I have used the Binatone Action 1000. At the same time, I also used the Motorola TLKR, which is twice as expensive as the T80. Now the result is the T80 outperformed every other single radio, including the Motorola TLKR. Now let's talk about the negative points. Now, does it have any? Well, with most things it does. Let me just show you this. Gently touch the radio and they become roly-poly on the desk. Now the reason for that is the design of the bottom, because it's more curved. Okay, so you can clip a lanyard clip onto the bottom of the radio, which makes it quite useful, but very difficult to stand on its own. I have commented on this before, but any other radio like the Binatone, nice and solid, stands there on its own, and the same with the Cobra MT975. So Motorola, maybe it's time for you to make a radio with proper legs so it can stand on its own without being wobbly. I have put these two radios on the maximum volume. Now I just want to show you, even with the max volume, there's a little problem with the level. Okay, so if you're outdoors in a noisy environment, this is not going to be loud enough. With Motorola's superb build quality, there's one thing I'd like to comment, and that is the battery door on the back. So it's all nice, all fine. Okay, so when you try to open it, you just lift the clip and take the door off. So that's fine, that's quite thick plastic, that's not a problem. When you put it down, you got to press quite hard, but it doesn't click, so you have to use your thumb or your nail to push it down to help it click, and that's quite flimsy, a little piece of plastic, and I think that's likely to break if you're a bit heavy-handed on this. Okay, so I don't know why that's the only spot on the radio I think is quite weak. So if you want to get a solid back door on this radio, you have to go for the Extreme version, which only comes in yellow, and that has a screw down mechanism, so that will secure the back door onto the radio at the bottom, but you're paying extra for that, the Extreme model. This very handy feature with the LED torch, I would have liked there's a switch that stays on or off rather than a single click button, which sometimes if you need your hands free, you need to turn the torch on and it doesn't stay on, so you have to manually operate this torch. So I'd say that is a slight issue with some. When I reviewed the T8, I said the Ptt button is a little bit too low for me on the left. So you can see if you're holding this in your left hand, if you were to press PTT, you've got to bend your thumb quite a lot, or you have to move the radio up and press it over there. Now then, this is a more natural place for the Ptt button, in my opinion, unless you're operating right-handed, which means your index finger on the right hand is going to operate that without any issue. So maybe this is designed for the right-handed people. Because Motorola wants to make these radios waterproof, splash proof, they have to make sure the headset jack is nice and tight. Now that's not a problem to keep water out, but it is a problem if you want to use a headset, because the area is raised, which means you can only plug in your headset from the front direction, so the front angle, otherwise it's going to be pushed up by this housing, so you're not going to get a good connection with your headphones. But like I said, if you don't use headphone, that's not a problem for you. Or voice activated operation, now it only works on the radio, it won't work with headsets. Now this is a problem not just with the Motorola's, it's the same with the Cobra. except the one radio that does work with headphones, with any headset, with the microphone, is the Binatone Action 1000. So this is a radio so far I have used that can work hands-free with headsets. Talking about the scanning, now there's improvement with how easy it is to access the scan. So press menu and then select, and it's going through the 8 channels, but as you notice, it's only scanning the channels with the preset sub-channels. So if you have someone talking with a different subtone, or the CTCSS or DCS, it's not going to pick up any audio. It's only going to pick up the preset sub-channels. Now that may be a problem for those of you who wants to listen or scan to other people or what other radios are talking. You'd have to change it all the way down to 0, so you have to set the 8 channels without any privacy tones, and that way you'll be able to hear what's going on. But it does stop on the active channel, and he's showing you a receive icon on the screen, which means there's something happening, but because you haven't got the right sub channel, it's not letting you letting the audio through. So that is a slight problem. So you have to change everything back to 0 for no privacy tones. And sadly, the Motorola TLKR T80 does not scan CTCSS or DCS, where other models or other makes of radios slightly cheaper than these pair will scan CTCSS. Now it's not a big problem for me because as long as I know someone's using one of the channels, I'll just go on to the other one. But some people may want to find out, what CTCSS or DCS are they using? Well, unfortunately, these pair of radio is not your choice if you want to scan CTCSS or DCS. What the Motorola has done is you either operate in the silent mode, which only activates the vibration, it doesn't allow any ringtones, or if you want to call a ringtone, it does not vibrate. So in my opinion, it's taken away a really good feature. Say in a loud environment in a shopping center or something, and you put the radio on your belt and it does not hear, you just cannot hear the ringtone, but you could feel the vibration. So that would be a nice feature. So unfortunately, that's been taken away from these radios, so that's a sad thing. Now I have been talking a lot about these pair of radios. Now if it helps you to make a decision, then I'm glad you've chosen to watch my video. If you have any question, please feel free to put that in the comments, and if you like this video, please press the like button, or you can share that with friends, or indeed subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Now like I said, this is probably the best pair of PMR446, or in America, or you have FRS or something similar with the license-free radios, and I would recommend these if you don't mind spending something like £80. That's something like $120 on these radios. It's worth every penny. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.